running back that came in. Hey, great, we're on. Hey, everybody, welcome to another edition of the TD Report. I'm your host, David Combs. I'm here with Tony Kennedy. Everyone, this has been a really tough couple of days for pro football aficionados and for Steeler Nation, as well as the family of the late great Franco Harris. Franco Harris has died at the age of 72. And just an awful time because in a couple of days, I think Saturday, he is going to be part of a big ceremony at Heinz Field to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception. And what I wanted to do when we open the show tonight, Tony, if you don't mind, I just want to talk a little NFL history and just kind of set the stage for what we're going to be talking about. So let's go back, everybody. 1920, the NFL was founded, okay? And up until 1969, when the Steelers hired Chuck Noll, they had literally 4 decades of futility. They were not the Steelers as we know them today, okay? In 1970, the AFL and the NFL merged. That was the merger. And as it came to pass in December 23rd, 1972, the Raiders were up at Riverfront Stadium, Three Rivers, up 7-6 on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers were facing a 4th and 22 with 22 seconds left. It was their last chance. Terry Bradshaw was under heavy pressure, kind of floated off to his right and threw a pass to Frenchy Fuqua, and it deflected off of Jack Tatum's helmet in such a way that it went back so fast on the replay, like a bullet. And Franco Harris was right there to scoop it up out of the air. The ball did not touch the ground, and he ran it the rest of the way, outrunning the Raiders' defense to the end zone and scored a touchdown with 5 seconds to go. It put the Steelers up. They kicked the extra point. They go on to win that game 13-7, okay? That was the Steelers' first playoff victory ever, okay? So we're talking 1972, when a lot of the people that are watching the show right now weren't even born. Some of us, like me or you, Tony, we were little guys, like a year, maybe 2 years old. That play, the Immaculate Reception, kickstarted the Steelers dynasty of the 1970s and made Franco Harris a beloved figure in Pittsburgh for literally, Tony, 50 years. He is one of the most beloved Steelers ever. And he was a beloved Steeler before they even won a Super Bowl, just because of that play, Tony. So as they kicked the extra point, back in those days, they used the same football. Okay, so that was the football that Franco Harris caught and scored a touchdown with. A man named Jim Baker was able to get onto the field, and he stole the football and took it. He tried to sell it back to the Rooney family in exchange for lifetime season tickets, and the Rooneys refused. Tony, when we look back at what that football really means, the lifetime season tickets for this guy would have been a very small price for the Rooneys to pay, okay? And he keeps that ball under lock and key. It's in a bank vault, and he brings it out periodically. The last time he brought it out was for the 25th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception. I think he's probably going to have to bring it out now, okay? But as we commemorate Franco's contributions to the very underpinnings of the NFL, okay, and the legend of the NFL, let's talk about 4 Super Bowls. He was a Super Bowl IX MVP. He was the NFL Rookie of the Year, 9-time Pro Bowler. He broke Jim Brown's record for consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. I think Jimmy Brown had 8, and I think Franco had 9. He's on the Pittsburgh Steelers all-time team. He's in Canton, 12,120 yards. He's still, Tony, after 50 years, he's still in the top 15, okay? He's one of the greatest running backs to ever play this game, period. You think about all the running backs that have ever played, and he is top 15 in rushing yardage. He's ahead of Thurman Thomas. He's ahead of Corey Dillon, John Riggins. He's ahead of OJ, okay? And if he wanted to, he could have squeezed another couple of years out of his body. He retired less than 200 yards short of Jimmy Brown. He could have been the NFL's all-time leading rusher. He just decided that was enough and walked away, okay? Out of all the different situations in the NFL, the great games and the great memories, okay, you and I have been able to talk with Barbara Adderley, Mrs. Adderley, about the Ice Bowl in '67. She was there, okay? That's one of those pictures or show that they show in the montage of almost any NFL opening splash is they show that line play in the Ice Bowl in '67. They show Joe Namath running off the field, okay, in 1969 with the Super Bowl victory. They show Joe running off the field with the one in the air. But they also show this play, the Immaculate Reception. They always show the part where the ball is flipping and he's leaning down to scoop it up and he takes off. It's, my heart goes out to, the family, Franco Harris's family, and definitely to my Steelers fan friends. He is such a beloved guy. And, this was one of the things this year, honestly, out of everything this year, even more than the Super Bowl, I was looking forward to this, to see Franco Harris come out on the field and be applauded by.
Remember we talked about this when they set the schedule and how the NFL did a heck of a job. So, folks, so you understand the actual anniversaries tomorrow.
Correct. Yes.
359 or whatever it was. The game is played on Saturday because of the way the NFL set it up. Couple of things so that we know. What was in question from the beginning wasn't if he actually caught the ball, because obviously I showed you a picture of him actually catching the ball.
He caught it.
The ball. Then what was in question is the rule in 1972 was an offensive guy can't touch the ball first, and then another offensive guy touched the ball and advanced the ball. So that is what the Raiders' argument was. Did Frankie Fuqua touch the ball first, and then Franco got it and advanced it? That was the entire argument. And it happened bang, bang so fast that, to this day, when you look at it, it's still after a million. There's been no other video replayed more than them, except for the Zapruder film with Kennedy.
Oh, the Zapruder film. Absolutely. It's the NFL. You got it right, Tony. It is the NFL Zapruder film. You could do an entire ESPN 30 for 30 just on that film. We're going to run it back, and we remastered it, and now we can see this. It ricocheted off of Jack Tatum's helmet, either his helmet or his shoulder pad, but it did not touch Frenchie Fuqua's hands before it was touched. It was touched by a Raider player. That was a legit play. It was clean.
Now, it was clean, but here's the thing. John Madden, years later, bless his soul, John Madden, years later, said, now this is the true story, said the referees and everybody got together and he called the supervisor of the place, the referee did, and he said to him, man, I don't know about this. And he said, how much security you have? He said, not much. He said, touchdown.
They would have killed somebody out there.
He told me that
it was 4th and 22. Touchdown. That was the game. If they had called that play dead, them officials would not have left that field. They would have buried him right there, Tony.
So oddly enough, they used to have a rule where they would rotate who would host the championship game.
Right.
So this was a divisional round. So the next week, on December, they played the championship games. The first game was Pittsburgh versus Miami. The game was played in Pittsburgh. The second game was Dallas versus Washington at RFK. Okay. Now, because those were same divisions, Washington had the better record. They got the home field. But in the AFC, they had it where Pittsburgh would have the home field advantage, obviously, because the 72 Dolphins were undefeated. That game was supposed to be played in Miami.
Should have been played in Miami.
It should have been played in Miami. So let me get you something. So for the history, so you guys understand history, they had that game. And what had happened after that game was Roberto Clemente being killed. That's when his plane went down, was after the Pittsburgh Dolphins championship. So Pittsburgh had a real bad day that day. I mean, it was just, when we're talking about history, we're going way back. This is 50 years. The biggest game played that day too was the Redskins and the Cowboys, when the Redskins beat the Cowboys to go to their first Super Bowl, to go face the then undefeated Dolphins. So we showed on the show, we showed the picture of Franco that they have in the airport. If you've been through Pittsburgh Airport, you've seen that statue of Franco on there, picking that up. And guys, Dave went to a Catholic school. It seemed like the Catholics always getting something in football, between the Immaculate Reception and the Hail Mary. I mean, what else do they have left? Are we going to get another phrase from?
I don't know. I'm pretty Catholic, but the Immaculate Reception. I mean, that's played on the NFL, on those NFL history reels and stuff like that. I mean, I must have seen it 100,000 times, Tony. I mean, it's, you've looked at it from different angles, and,
Have you noticed number 20 that was behind Tatum? When Tatum hit him and the ball ricocheted, he did like this and was walking this way. And then when he was walking, he caught Franco running with the ball. So he turns around, and the steps he took celebrating was the same amount of steps that he missed Franco running down the thing. What that tells you is that you go till you hear the whistle. Do not celebrate. Do not get out of your body and everything else, because Franco didn't. Franco started from the backfield. Now, I've talked to him 4 different times on this. Every time I go to Hall of Fame. This year was the only time I never talked to him about it. He said he started in running down because he was leaking out, because he was scrambling just so he can be,
eligible.
But as you see him in the backfield and he's doing whatever, when Bradshaw went up this way and he did like this, Franco just ran. So when the ball was thrown and it ricocheted, Franco was already running that way. And it was just,
sheer luck.
They said luck is what? Preparation meets opportunity.
It was amazing. I mean, Tony, when we think about that play and what it meant to the merger, as you merge these two leagues and you're trying to sell the league, right? Now you can tell people, hey, don't leave our games with 20 seconds left. You don't know what can happen. And sometimes something spectacular happens. And this was one of those times. Just an amazing play. What else can we say about Franco? He's been an NFL Man of the Year. Obviously, any room he goes into, everybody wants to talk to him about that play. They want to talk about the Super Bowls. They want to talk about Bradshaw. But everybody wants to get a picture with Franco. A lot of friends of mine, young kids that were Pittsburgh fans, it seems like almost every one of them got a picture with Franco. You know what I'm saying? He was very giving. It was obvious that he was very giving. He really cared about, being in the community. Tony, he was one of Frank Sinatra's favorites. He was, they called him an honorary Italian because, his first name was Franco, right? So, people used to come to games and wear army helmets with his number on it because they said they were part of Franco's Italian army. I mean, he was a cultural, he became a cultural phenomenon,
Hey, Cody, tell Cody, hit Cody, Dev, I think, is trying to come in.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Cody will get it. it's this, this one hits kind of hard because literally I was expecting to be able to turn my TV on Saturday and watch the whole pregame, the pre-ceremony. That's really what I wanted to see out of anything that's going to happen this year. I wanted to see, the old Steelers, the ones we have left. And, it's tough to say that. I mean, we're lucky to have a lot of those guys. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they're getting up in years. They're into their 70s, some of them well into their 70s. And, we're lucky to have them to be able to tell us these stories or come to a training camp or come to an event. Now, one of the best parts about the NFL 100 commercial that everyone remembers with all the former and current players basically destroying a banquet hall, destroying a whole banquet room, trying to get their hands on the football. One of the best parts that I wasn't expecting was the tipped ball, and then Franco comes up and grabs it and takes off with it, to commemorate the play. I thought that was a really, really nice touch. And Mean Joe Green sitting there watching it. Mean Joe Green's like, yeah.
I got a joke for you. They said, so my cousin went to the Hall of Fame this year, a big Raiders fan.
Oh, Jerome. Sorry. Oh, by the way, sorry, Jerome. Franco caught that.
Yeah, he goes up to Bill Cowher, and he has a tie, and he said, "Look, you know what fan I am, and this and that." And so he saw the Raiders, so they start going at it. He said, he told Jerome just to mess with him. He said, "I bet you if you drop that towel on the floor, Franco will pick it up and run it for a touchdown."
That's hilarious. Yeah, Franco will get it before it hits the ground.
Man, they was in there clowning.
Oh man.
That just helped that rivalry. It's rumored that the 76 game, so the 76 season, when the Steelers had the greatest defense ever. Oddly enough, they didn't win the Super Bowl because Franco and Rocky got hurt. So their offense is stalled. But it's rumored that because of that game is what actually broke the offense and the defense up because of the arguments they had, because they honestly had a better team that year than they did when they were going for a three-peat. They had a better team than they had their first 2 years. But they lost their backfield. So, the Steelers of the 70s, you had to think about it. The 70s started off with the Colts winning, the Cowboys finally winning, then the Dolphins won 2, Steelers win 2, then the Raiders come in and win 1, then the Cowboys win again, and then the Steelers win on all. Here's something that's odd. The entire decade of the 70s, every single quarterback that won the Super Bowl was number 12.
The whole decade?
Entire decade.
Wait a minute.
Staubach.
Okay.
Brian Greasy. Terry Bradshaw. Stabler. Staubach.
Bob Greasy. Bob Greasy.
Yep.
Bob. Brian was his son. Yeah, I got you.
Bob Greasy, I'm
sorry. I got you. Wait a minute. What about the Colts? Isn't that Earl Morrall? He was 16, wasn't he?
15, that's right. It was 1. It was 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10. Okay. That was Earl Morrall, right? Because Johnny Unitas got hurt.
Actually, no, Unitas started the game.
But he got hurt.
He got hurt or whatever he got, but Unitas started the game.
Okay.
And when you look at it, 2 Hall of Famers were on the bench in that Super Bowl. Staubach and Unitas.
Who's the backup for Dallas?
Staubach. In the first Super Bowl that they lost.
So who started? Meredith?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Meredith started 2 Super Bowls and won 1, right?
No. Craig Morton.
Craig Morton. Okay. That was against the Broncos, right?
No. Craig Morton started for the Broncos against the Cowboys.
Oh, okay.
Super Bowl 12. But Super Bowl 5, Craig Morton started for Dallas.
It's pretty good, TK. That's why you stumped the Schwab, man.
Which is horrible because you would listen to people will tell you if Staubach started that Super Bowl, Dallas would have won that game hands down. Now, oddly enough, in that Super Bowl, they had a play similar to what happened with the Raiders, what they were complaining about. The guy touching it for the offense and it going back and advancing. But that one, it did touch a damn Colt. And then John Mackey got it for the 75-yard touchdown. They call that the Blunder Bowl. But that was the first Super Bowl ever played for the Vince Lombardi Trophy.
What was that? Did you say Super Bowl
5?
Super Bowl 5. So let's go back to the rules real quick. Eligible receiver could not touch the ball first, and then another eligible receiver touch it. Is that correct?
Yes.
Because that would have meant back in those days the hook and lateral couldn't have been done. The hook and ladder play couldn't do it.
Well, you could, because it's not a pass. You had a possession, and then you can throw it out.
You can lateral to anybody. Okay.
If you up and it tips and it hits your hand and it goes to someone else, then that was illegal. That was. See, I don't know where they got that damn rule from.
I would imagine in those days, a lot of the rules, old rules of football that seemed very archaic, were generally safety rules, and to keep teams from trying to spirit the ball a certain way or trick the ball. Like, okay, a fumble on 4th down has to be recovered by the original ball carrier.
That wasn't until later, though.
But that's what I'm saying. The reason they did it was to keep teams from fumbling forward on purpose.
Yeah, which the Raiders did against San Diego, and that's the reason why they changed that rule.
Is that Ken Stabler?
Ken Stabler did it, and
Dave Casper. Is that Stabler to Casper, right?
Yep. Where he just threw it up like it was a fumble, and they caught it, and they was like, and the San Diego chicken fell out because they couldn't believe it. So,
no way. The San Diego chicken was there?
Yeah, back
You're kidding.
The rule came. But oddly enough, the Raiders have been involved in so much. They were involved in the fumble when Rob Lytle fumbled in the 77 AFC Championship, and he fumbled. They called it a touchdown. Denver wins, goes to the Super Bowl against Dallas. The Raiders were involved in the tuck in 2002.
Tuck rule, yeah. They got screwed on that. They got screwed.
But they got one when they got that one against Miami, and when Clarence Davis caught that pass against Miami when he threw it up. I mean, so when you're in the playoffs all the time, like the Raiders, the Dolphins, the Steelers, the Cowboys were, the Vikings, the Rams, something crazy is bound to happen. And believe me, in the 70s, it happened. To kick off that decade with that play, let's face it, there will probably never be another play like the Immaculate Reception.
Never. Never. Just the ricochet, Tony. Just the way that the ricochet came off, it looked like something shot it out of a cannon. And how Franco caught it, I have no idea. Because most people, it would just hit them in the chest or hit them in the hands and just fall on the ground, because you're not expecting a ball to come back at you like that. Now, maybe if the ball had been tipped up in the air, like straight up, and it's just floating, that's one thing. But that ball came back like on a line.
It's amazing because they couldn't do that. If they did it 1,000 times, it would never do it.
Never.
It would never. It would never do a way that ball just bounced back like. So
no, you can't do a football like that.
No. So when they call it the Immaculate, I mean, most of you guys, if you around, and it happened around Christmas time. Amen. And then what's odd is that as you lead up to the 50th anniversary, Jesus calls this man home. You can't make this stuff up. I mean, that's a damn movie. And that's a script. They were about to retire his jersey or his number or both. And to have him walk out on that field for the 50th anniversary and not having him there now, I mean, I hope Terry Bradshaw is there. Tatum has passed away, correct?
I think Jack Tatum is gone. Yeah, I think I don't even
Is
know if
Frankie
Tatum
Fuqua,
would.
is Frankie Fuqua around?
That I don't know. That I don't know. That's a good question.
You
I can
Bradshaw,
get someone to research that. Let's research it. See if we can
you know
see if we
Bradshaw
can find it.
around.
Hold on.
So yeah,
John Frenchie Fuqua. That's a hell of a name, TK. Wonder why they call. I mean, maybe if we have some old school Steelers fans out here, maybe we can figure out why they call him Frenchie. That's funny. Hold on, I got it right here. Uh, Frenchie Fuqua. Let's see. Looks like he's still with us, TK. Yeah, he's 75 years old according to this. He's still around.
okay.
Hey,
So
he's from Detroit.
Kim,
And guess where he went to school? You're gonna love this. Went to Morgan State.
Frankie Future went to Fuqua went to Morgan State.
Yes, he did. Drafted in 1969.
Is Tatum still around?
Let's take a look. Jack Tatum.
Jack Tatum
I,
passed
I, I hate to say it. I think Jack Tatum is deceased. Let me see. Yeah, he died years ago, 2010. He's dead.
Okay. So Kim just said Joe Paterno always told his players to follow the ball. And if you youngins, if you're listening at home, on defense, they always tell you to chase the ball. On offense, they do a drill, but what we call a scramble drill. And just Franco just leaking out. But when he saw him throw it, he was probably running to, hey, man, hey, once he knew he couldn't get it, let me run and try to block. Ain't no how much time left. And then as you running down, the ball just lands in your hand, and you had enough energy to outrun the guy that was behind Tatum, who had the angle. You outran him, and you see how he just flips off of him. And once that happened, he turned that corner about the 20-yard line. That was it. I mean, just looking at the play live, when you see it in color, it really is amazing, man.
Yeah, that I'm looking at some replays of the play. That's man. Again, it's impossible to draw that up, Tony. You couldn't draw it up and get it to happen. It's
it's so as we get into celebrating it tomorrow, they gave the right time. They gave it. It says 3:29.
That's exactly the time it happened. Okay, so they're gonna what? They're gonna stop the game to do this, TK.
What'd you say?
They're gonna stop the game to do it, or they're gonna stop the game to commemorate it.
Sure, because it's a 1:00. I think it's a 1:00 game.
So they're gonna have to stop the game.
Is it a 1:00 game?
I think so.
What? Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, if it's a 1:00 game, I don't know. Now, can you imagine if that game came down to the same thing?
What? What, a Hail
game,
Mary pass at the end or something like that?
If that game was a 7-6 game and something crazy happened at the end of that game, they would be saying the NFL would thinking this thing was fixed.
Well, the NFL be rigged, Tony. Come on now.
Yeah, it's I didn't know Fuqua graduated from. So he's alive. Bradshaw's alive.
Bradshaw's definitely alive.
Franco and our man Jack Tatum passed away. Now I don't know who number 20 was who was celebrating, but number 20 that was behind him. When you see he hit him, 20 starts to celebrate and start to walk away. Whoever he was the reason why the damn play ended up happening, because he was celebrating.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at it, you'll see just what I'm talking about.
Let me see. According to this, there's a guy. Jimmy Warren was the last defensive back. He's the one in the tape that you see that tries to tackle Franco Harris around the 5, and he's the one that gets stiff armed. He got stiff armed, and
Yeah.
Franco went in for the score. He was the only guy that really had a shot at him. But there's another. I think there was a linebacker named was Gerald Irons and another one named Phil Villapiano. Those were two of the guys that were kind of standing there. So not sure exactly.
Filipino, it was a big time player for the Raiders later on.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. A lot of these guys are pretty young and had a lot of their career left to it. I mean, obviously Franco did. The funny thing is about Franco, Chuck Noll, the coach, didn't want him. He liked Robert Newhouse, but the GM said, let's get Franco Harris. So, interesting history behind that. Look, Robert Newhouse didn't have a terrible career. Won Super Bowls, and hey, that's great for him. But he wasn't obviously the running back that Franco Harris was. Franco Harris putting up 12,000 yards. If you could get a running back now to put up 12,000 yards in his career, he's done some work. That's a lot of yards. In today's NFL, 12,000 is a lot of yards.
Think about this. All that work Derrick Henry's had, he's only got 8,000 yards.
Well, Tony, if you look at the NFL all-time rushing list, and I think it's the top 20, none of them are active players. The last one, as I'm sure you well know, was Frank Gore.
Gore.
Yeah, he was. Let's take a look at it and make sure I have this right. All-time NFL rushing leaders. Let's take a look. In the top 25, Tony, and the last guy is Jamal Lewis with 10,607 yards. He's the 25th leading rusher all time. Everybody above him is inactive. Everyone's inactive.
Wow. So who's the leading rusher right now, all time, that's active?
Let's see.
Is it Ezekiel Elliott?
No, it would probably have to be. Let me see. That's a good question, TK. Let's look it up. Leading active rushers in the NFL. Let's take a look. You're right. Damn, you good, Tony. It is Zeke.
Yeah, because he's probably because Gurley would have been there, but it's Zeke and Henry has to be close.
He's very close. Here we go. Here's the top. Okay, this is an old list because Frank Gore just retired in 2022. So they have Frank Gore on the list, but the list is Zeke Elliott with 8,160 yards. So do the math. Zeke Elliott has half what Frank Gore has. Half. Mark Ingram, 8,111 yards. Derrick Henry, he's only 60 yards behind Ezekiel Elliott. Probably will pass him. 8,100 yards. After that, Melvin Gordon, Nick Chubb, Latavius Murray, Dalvin Cook, Joe Mixon, Aaron Jones, Alvin Kamara, Christian McCaffrey. That's like the top 15.
And
Leonard Fournette, Lamar. You know what's scary, Tony? Here's what's scary. The number 15 active leading rusher in the NFL is Lamar Jackson.
How many does he have?
4,437.
Wow.
According to this, Russell Wilson has 4,904 rushing yards. But it's taken him 10 years to do that.
Okay. The game is at 8:15.
Okay. So they'll do it before the game.
Yeah. So now they're gonna do they have to. The game is a late game, which is great because they were putting it on national TV so everybody can experience. But back then, when it happened at 3-something, you can see it look like it's getting dark.
Yeah, but it was kind of a dreary day.
Yeah,
It's always
kind of
kind of
dream.
gray in Pittsburgh anyway. Yeah.
So, um, and if I'm right, 50 years later is the same date as when you were born. So when you turn 50, isn't that the same day? They played a game on Friday.
Well, it's a divisional round, Tony.
Yeah, but I didn't know they played games on Fridays back then. Let me make sure
I don't think.
I'm
Yeah, and that's the funny thing, Tony. The NFL back in the 1970s is a far different animal as far as a TV product than it is now.
It's a Saturday.
It's a Saturday.
Okay.
Okay.
They played the game on a Saturday. It was December 23rd, 1972. So that game was played on a Saturday, which is right. Because I was like, thought it was on a Friday. Yep, they played it on the Saturday. So, that was probably when they first started those Saturday divisional games, to get 2 division games on Saturday, AFC, NFC, then 2 on Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they can get them all in. And then the next week, everybody played on New Year's Eve.
Right. Right. And that's when. And by the way, New Year's Eve is when Roberto Clemente died.
That's when he died. And
he died on New Year's Eve that year.
And that's when Pittsburgh lost to Miami, and Dallas lost to Washington. Pittsburgh lost to Miami. And look at what Dallas and Pittsburgh did after losing those championship games.
Yeah. Dallas kept on coming, and
Pittsburgh kept on coming and became the team of the 70s. Dallas went to 5 Super Bowls in that decade.
Right.
Enough. Dallas lost 3 Super Bowls. 2 of them to Pittsburgh.
It's not on his sheets. Put that big cover in the wash machine.
What's up, Dev?
Hey, what's up, fellas?
Hey, Dev.
I was talking to my son. I didn't know if I was gonna get on or not. My fault. What's
up? No, we got you. Appreciate you. Thanks for waiting.
All right. What's
hey, everybody. Here on the TD Report. Here on the TD Report. Oh, thanks, Mrs. K. Mrs. K said happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays, Mom.
Yeah. Hey, listen. We're going to also talk a little bit about some college recruiting. We're going to bring in a recruiting guru here. I see you got on your colors today. You got on that crimson.
Oh yeah, those my guys, man. I know most people don't like them, but I mean, hey, I've been a fan since '92, man. Ain't nothing gonna change, man.
I feel you.
30 years been a fan of them guys, man. Yeah.
Let's talk not about Alabama right now, because we can end up with that, because they're in the cleanup spot. Who else made a splash in recruiting in this cycle? What's that?
Deion Sanders. He did it.
How's he doing?
2 weekends of work, he ended up with a 29th ranked class.
Really?
2 weekends of work, he got the 29th ranked class in 2 weeks of work. He
That's
ended up
impressive.
getting the thing that really helped, Travis Hunter and Shedeur were 4- and 5-star guys that transferred over. So that's 2 guys you get. But then he got 3 4-stars. The 2nd-ranked running back, Dylan Edwards. The 7th-ranked receiver, Adam Hopkins, who's a 4-star. And then he added another 4-star. I can't think of the guy's name. And he's working on – did you see the article I wrote with the kid, Kamani McLean, the number 2 ranked player in the nation, the corner from down in Florida?
Yeah.
He was slated to sign with Miami yesterday. They had it all set up. His mom said that Coach Prime called yesterday morning at about 7:30 in the morning, Eastern time, to talk to him and the mom. And they came on TV and they said there'll be no announcement today. So Deion's in that kid's head. So if Deion can get if Deion gets that kid, that'll be the number 1 ranked defensive player he recruited the last 2 years. Travis Hunter already came with him. So that'll give him 2 elite corners off the break. When you in a conference that wants to throw the ball all the time, get them 2 guys on your corners.
Right.
Yeah. You got it. So if he gets, of course, Alabama and Georgia, and I believe USC are all in on Kamani McLean as well. But the call from Deion is why he didn't announce and sign with Miami yesterday. He was slated to sign with the Hurricanes. It's been a year of verbal commitment to the Hurricanes, and all of a sudden that went away just like that because of Deion's call. So
I think it's good to see the Hurricanes, are in the mix. But hey, it's great to see what Deion was able to do in a very, very short time. Now, listen, college football is a game of expectations. We talked today in production about what a Deion Sanders would have to do in order to keep the Barbarians at the gate. You see what I'm saying? This year coming up is going to be rough. There's no way around it. But they've got to figure out ways to win games. But they're going to have to probably be bowl eligible in year number 2. What can Deion do to make sure that that happens? Because he might not be able to change much of the schedule. Now, I haven't looked too deep into it. If TCU is on the schedule the next 2 years out of conference, that's a problem. Okay.
Well, they are.
That's a problem. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So the only way out of that is to pay your way out. Right?
I don't see him doing that. I see him playing those games because he wants to show kids that we play games like this. See, he's not going to run and hide.
He's not going to run and hide.
He wants to say, you know what, we need these games, win or lose. It's important for kids to see that we'll take on challenges that have the majority of the scouts from the pros coming to see, not just playing a FCS school in week 1 or somebody we know we can run over. We're going to play TCU. Now, I think year 1, they're probably going to struggle with. I think that's going to be a rough game. But I think by year 2, I think it usually takes people 2 recruiting classes to get their guys. He's got a semi-class now. He still got plenty of time to add more guys. He got until February. So this was the early signing period. So still has 2 months to get guys, a month and a half to still get guys. Now, the key going to be the line play. It's not going to be the athletes. It's going to be how you protect Shedeur, because Shedeur it's going to be a process for him to come over to this level and be successful. So it won't be him stepping on the field and having a lot of inferior guys on the other side of the football. Now we're going to see what he can do. And they struggled to protect him a little bit in the SWAC. He got hit a lot for a guy that really shouldn't have been getting hit that much. So it's going to be interesting.
It's not, the clock, his little clock to make a throw, find a receiver, make a throw. Yeah. It's going to be
sped up.
It's going to be sped up. So if you're going to speed him up, he's going to have to probably become a one-read quarterback. Okay. And your offensive staff, quarterback coach, offensive coordinator, O-line coach, everyone's got to be on the same page about what we're trying to do here.
Yeah.
And setting up the right offense and shaping it to your quarterback skills is going to be paramount, and they really have to hit the ground running. And
if you look at not to cut you off, but if you look
go ahead.
Their offense is going to look a lot like the first 2 years when Dino Babers took over at Syracuse. When he had those quarterbacks that were kind of dual threat and could run a little, throw a little. Shedeur can do a little bit of both. He's not a great runner, but he can use his legs when he has to. And you're going to get Sean Lewis as the OC. He's going to design a game plan that he designed for Dino Babers at Syracuse, where, like you said, one read. Every once in a while, we'll have 2 reads, but they'll be on the same side of the field. There'll very rarely be a whole lot of scanning coming back from the right to the left. There won't be time to do that because they won't have the line to protect. So the key going to be Dylan Edwards, being the running back, can really come in and probably play right away. He's physical enough. He's athletic enough at running back. So you'll get behind him and let him tote it. And like you said, there'll be a lot of quick stuff, a lot of get the ball out your hands. And to be honest, Travis Hunter will still probably get to play both ways, which is people don't believe he will. Yes, he will. He probably will. Not nearly as many snaps on the offensive side probably, but he still will get his chances to make a big play here and there, sort of like Prime did with the Cowboys. You know what I mean? You'll see him line up. You see the kid can play receiver. The kid has a great route. He has great instincts. He goes and gets the football. But again, he's a great corner too. So it's like Prime said, he's going to play corner, but we're going to also have packages where he'll get receiver time. And that's, you have to. He's just too dynamic not to try it, So like you stated, though, they're going to have a hard time with the Utahs of the world, the Oregons of the world, the USCs and UCLAs. And, UCLA getting, the 5-star kid to come over, and then Bo Nix staying at Oregon for another year, and Caleb Williams at USC. And Utah's quarterback isn't eligible to come out. He can stay again. What's the kid's name? Tough kid, the one that plays quarterback for them. I can't think of that kid's last name with the hair. Cam Rising. Cam Rising.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think. Listen, man. Big 12, Pac-12, whatever. ACC, Big 10, SEC. If they were dragging them teams, different ball game. Pac-12 don't play no defense. Big 12 don't play no defense. So when you're talking about these guys, now we all know, folks, so you understand, the only reason why we even being hopeful a little bit about Deion is because of something called the transfer portal and something called you don't have to sit out. That even makes them give them a chance to win games. Because if this was the old days, we wouldn't be talking about Deion for another 2-3 years.
Talking about 0-12 maybe next year. Possibly.
Yeah, because
No question.
He would have.
They shouldn't go. I would say this, guys. The way that the schedule sets up, and I don't know the Pac-12 as well in terms of the divisions, but if they're going to get a chance to get a shot at Stanford and Arizona State, both of those programs have fired their coach too. So maybe you're able to sneak a win out of those two teams, but I mean, they're at the bottom of the league.
But Arizona and all them, man, them teams all ain't that damn good, man.
That's what I'm saying. Arizona State and Stanford,
they ain't that good.
You never know. They might be beatable. How good are they? They fired their look, man. Misery loves company, and they fired their coach too. So
they're not that good in the Pac-12 and the Big 12. If you talking about Big 10, SEC, I would be like, dog, hold on. You got to be up there. But if you telling me, Deb is telling me that this guy is going to have a crazy offense. If they play a drop of defense, they be in every game.
Yeah. Charles Kelly's going to call the defense, and he was Florida State's coordinator for 4 years, and they were top 10. Now, he had a lot of talent, but the last 2 years, a lot of that talent went pro, and he still had a top 10, 12 defense because of the scheme he put out there. So that's a good pickup. Deion did a hell of a job of bringing in some coaches.
Who's defensive coordinator?
Charles Kelly used to be. He took over after Pruitt left Florida State.
Okay.
He was there from 2014 to 17, I believe.
He went from, and what conference was he in?
He just came from the SEC. He was Alabama's assistant D coordinator.
Okay. So he was Alabama's assistant D coordinator. And he was ranked in the top 15 in the defense. Now we talking about going from that thing. If he brings that same energy over to the Pac-12.
Yeah. But he's not bringing those players.
But they can recruit those players now.
They can recruit them. They're going to get some guys. They got a couple guys that in a matter, like I said, 2 weekends, he got 3 4-stars and a 5-star to transfer.
So he got to February 3rd.
Yes, he does.
He got to February 3rd.
Yep.
Folks, by my thing, that's 2 more months in 2 weeks.
And if he gets this kid from Miami, from Lakeland, this kid, Kokomani McClain,
to get him
the opposite
flip
corner, to put on the other corner from Travis Hunter, throwing against them two will not be easy. Them two will be able to literally make it so you use the middle of the field and not test them too much on the outside. They're both that good.
They're that good. They can pitch a shutout out there. Is that what you're saying?
Can play, right now, they could come in and cover probably any 2 receivers in the nation without a whole lot of safety help. They're that good. The key will be, can you get pressure where they ain't got to cover for 10 seconds? Because them two, long, athletic, they can run, and they're what you call gamers. They have no fear of the moment. No fear of the moment. So
everyone, we've been talking on the TD Report here with Devin Mason and Tony Kennedy, talking about recruiting specifically as it pertains to Colorado and Deion Sanders. Guys, what you've been talking about here, what I'm hearing is building blocks. The players that you need or the guys that you need to run your scheme, right? So let's talk about the defensive side of the ball since you're already there. You got 2 corners that you think are going to be pretty good, potential shutdown corners at the collegiate level, right? What you need is you need early throws. You need edge. You get someone coming off the edge to collapse that pocket and make a quarterback not be able to go to a third read, you might have something. You
Well,
know,
he's got Deion's got like 4 or 5 guys in the portal that he's working on that are 3 and 4 star guys that can play. They can play, and like
mhm.
Tony said, they were SEC Big Ten guys, but in the Pac-12 they'll be stars because there aren't a whole lot of great pass rushers in the Pac-12. They just aren't. They aren't.
What a lot of people don't give Deion credit for making the move up, making the move up from Jackson State, up to the FBS level, the access that he's going to have to guys that were going to be going FBS anyway. See, at Jackson State, you've got to convince FBS guys to play for you, right? Now you've got, hey, listen, I've got an FBS schedule sitting right in front of you. We're going to be on television. We're going to be playing against USC. We're going to play against UCLA. We're going to play glamour games. Are you ready for the bright lights? You see what I'm saying? You can't necessarily always offer that at a Jackson State. And by the way, that's no disrespect to Jackson State. I'm just stating facts. I'm saying Deion has an ability now to do his magic on guys that were going to be going in that direction anyway. How much more can he do as far as a recruiter? And I've been on record, Tony, as saying that I think he's probably going to be he would be a better administrator than even a coach, and he's a pretty darn good coach. He's doing a good job.
Hey, Dave and Dev, the most dangerous thing about this is that if this works, you're going to see a whole lot of ADs changing up what they've been doing. Because right now, what Deion is actually doing, he's being a guinea pig. And if this works,
test dummy.
Yeah. If they somehow win 8 games, oh, dude, man, it's going to be a whole lot of people getting a whole lot of short contracts, and they're going to be looking for that Deion, that person to come in who's, how should I say, Deion is Generation X with us, okay? But he understands this generation with the social media.
Because he has kids.
No one as good as them on social media.
Because he has kids.
But it's one thing to have kids. It's another thing to listen to your kids.
Correct.
He's actually listening to his kids.
But Tony, if you look at most FBS coaches and FCS coaches, those guys are in their 50s, but they've been coaching at that level for 15, 20, some of them 30 years.
This is his first year at 55.
And this is his first year at 55. But what has he been more? What has he been more than a coach? He's been a dad, coached his kids in high school. You see what I'm saying? And coached them up. He's been through an actual recruit. He's one of the few football coaches that are coaching right now who has been a top recruit himself. So he's been recruited. All of his kids have been recruited, and he's helped them do it. Most parents, and Devin will attest to this, most parents will have 2-3 kids. They won't ever have one kid that gets recruited. Okay, one. So most parents, when they sit down with a head college coach, that's the parents' first time doing it. The coach does this every day. The Bobby Bowdens of the world, the Nick Sabans, those old school coaches, they recruit when they shaving in the morning. They're talking to somebody on the phone.
And what's crazy is he's not just having his sons, his daughters. His oldest daughter was a volleyball player at the D1 level. His baby girl's a basketball player at Jackson State, and all 3 sons, SMU, Jackson State, Colorado.
When people tell me that, Deion Sanders doesn't understand recruiting, and I explain to him he's the only coach that's coaching right now that was a top-level recruit, played in the NFL, and all of his kids have been recruited. So he's sat on both sides of that table. He's sat beside his kids when they're getting recruited. He's counseled them through recruiting, what to say, what not to say, how to act, how to handle yourself. And that's valuable. That's going to be valuable. And what he can do at this level, at the FBS, FCS level, doesn't matter. He can definitely prepare kids for an NFL draft, for an NFL interview process. Okay, son, this is what they're going to talk to you about. They're going to ask you about, a kid that's had some trouble with the law. They're going to ask you about that DUI you got when you were 17. They're going to ask you about it. Let's get these answers straight. Let's not run from it. He's going to counsel them on the right thing to do. And I really appreciate that about him. It's that type of influence is invaluable. There are going to be kids on this. People are complaining right now about kids in Colorado, the ones that are going to transfer out. And listen, they were going to a lot of those kids were going to transfer out regardless of whoever the coach was, because the new coach always has to win and bring on his own guys. That was going to happen. That was going to happen regardless.
When you were 1-11.
And or 5-19 they went 5-19 the last 2 years. Them guys ain't staying. You got to change up.
I mean,
have the same guy.
And it's no. And listen, I explained to people off the air that talk to me about our show, and Dave, you're hard on these kids. I was like, I'm not hard on these kids. Unfortunately, college football at the level that we like to watch it, it's a business. Okay. And we're lying to these kids and telling them it's not. Okay. And unfortunately, that's what happens when there's a new regime. The good news is the 2 and 3 and 4 stars that stay with Deion, when it comes time to talk to the NFL people, to get kids visibility, to get kids heads right before they put on a suit and go sit in an interview, or teaching them how, hey, you need to learn how to talk chalk with these guys. You need to be, quarterbacks. You need to be able to break down chalk. You need to be able to read routes and understand this and understand that. Deion's been through this. Okay. His defensive players, especially. I like the idea of keeping Mike Zimmer along as a paid consultant to basically break down plays, break down tendency for them. I think that's a good role for him. And, obviously condolences to his family. He had lost his son recently. Otherwise, I think he would have probably been a more active member of that staff.
Yeah, him and Dennis Thurman. Dennis Thurman came over too. 2 veteran NFL guys that are well respected. Great move.
So Deion knew what I've known. Big 12, Pac-12. The team that gets a defense has a great chance of winning in that conference.
You can win some games.
They don't do nothing but play offense.
You can win some games.
Nobody plays defense. I bet if you look up, I bet you none of their defense were even in the top 20. Big 12, Pac-12 teams. Show me one that played defense.
Okay, let's see. What do you want? Total defense?
Total defense.
Okay. Let's look it up.
This year, Oklahoma State. Yeah, I know Oklahoma State fell off, but last year they were 4th overall with Jim Knowles, the guy that went to Ohio State. They were 4th in 2021. They fell off this year, but they were ranked. And Baylor was high too, because Baylor had Dave Aranda coach's defense. Outside of that, I don't know about it. The rest of those teams don't play no defense.
All right, let's take a look.
Oklahoma can't stop a nosebleed.
Okay, number 1, Air Force. Number 2, Illinois. Number 3, Michigan. Going down the list. Hey, Tony, number 7, James Madison in total defense. They're trying to play him a little defense, I see. Georgia, number 8, Boise State, Marshall. I'm still looking for a Big 12. Here we go. Total defense. The best team in the Pac-12 was Utah. They're number 18th nationally.
Yep.
Give me the next.
Oregon State, number 26. Going down. I'm still going down. So there's going to be that big drop off.
Okay. So you got 2 in the top 30, and then there's a drop off. So
huge.
Let's say those 2 are so great. The rest of that conference sucks.
Pretty much.
Hell, you named 3 Big 10 when you just opened your mouth.
Yep.
So
hey, Tony.
Yeah, they don't play no defense.
Tony.
They never have.
And I don't mean any disrespect to the University of Virginia, my alma mater. They had a rough year. A lot of bad things happened. They had a top 50 defense this year. 44th in the country. That's out of 312 teams. A top 50 defense is not bad. It's not great.
That's the top 15 of the country. Top 10%, 15% of the country.
Yeah. UVA had a top 40.
15 in the country. Yeah.
So let me clear
They gave up 357 yards a game, 4.97 yards a play.
So
the best defense in the country gave up.
I added the Big 12 and the Pac-12 together because both of them are similar conferences to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
they don't
similar.
They don't play no defense. So he chose wisely. Deion didn't want to come over there and go deal with that SEC. On both sides, he was going to get his head beat in. He would have got his head
frankly,
beat in.
frankly, Tony, it's the SEC. At some point, everybody gets your head beat in the SEC.
No,
It's just how it
especially
works.
now, because it was 3 or 4 teams that was down. Tennessee, South Carolina, LSU, and it was somebody else that was down that then came back up.
Arkansas.
And Arkansas. Yeah. So those teams were down. They back up. So it ain't gonna be just rolling your helmet out there. Deion knew what he was doing. He knew to go west, young man. Because don't come down there and come down there in Southeast. Or don't go that Midwest, because you're going to get that head split. They're going to get that head split to the white meat. He knew it.
You're a wild dude. Hey, listen, guys, I've got to jump off. I've got to get to my event. Again, Arkansas. What's that?
Where you going?
Well, I've got to go to that UVA event tonight.
What UVA event?
The one at Barcode.
Where's Barcode? DC?
Yeah,
I
gotta get down
nice
there.
Place. Which I have.
That's why I'm wearing a jacket.
Y'all having a meet and greet?
Yeah. That's why I'm wearing a jacket.
Like a Christmas party type thing.
Y'all already know each other. Ain't talking about meet and greet.
It's all the classes coming, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll all be down there.
Same thing. Bowie State does from time to time.
Put my Virginia Tech stuff on and walk in there like, "What's up?"
Tony, you can come on. You want to go?
No, I'm good, man. It's raining out there.
I'll send you an invite. You want me to leave you a will call?
If they ain't wearing no mask and it's raining and it's close to Christmas, I am not going to no joint.
Hey, your boy Big Ted will be in there. Come on through.
Big Ted will have big COVID right behind him too.
You stupid, Tony.
I'm not going to no joint.
Listen, guys, I appreciate Devin for coming on the show and talking recruiting with us. And we're going to be talking more about that when we get to the final signing period, and just kind of that way we see where everything shakes out.
Merry Christmas. See you the day after Christmas. We're coming on after Christmas.
I'll be here. I'm in town.
Stay on, because we're gonna talk about a little bit of this recruit. All right, Dave.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Hey man, be safe. Have a good Christmas time.
Yeah. So what are your feelings about yesterday early signing? Who are the winners? Who are the losers?
Well, the winners are Miami. Miami had a great class. They finished 5th, which is really high for them. They haven't had a class finish that high, I believe, since 2009. So Mario Cristobal, that's his strength. He's always been a great recruiter. He recruited well at Alabama. He recruited well at Oregon. That's his strength. Now, the Cormani McClain situation, which is the kid that Deion is trying to get, the number 2 ranked player in the country, top defensive player in the nation. That's the kid that was supposed to be the belle of his signing class. Now, if he loses him, it's not the end of the world, but it'd be a big loss to their class, because he's been the guy that was committed before Cristobal even took the job. He was committed to, who was the coach before that? Manny Diaz? Was it Manny Diaz?
Yeah, Manny Diaz.
He was committed to Manny Diaz, so there'll be a big loss. But Miami did a great job. I thought Texas did a wonderful job yesterday. I thought, who else finished pretty high that I didn't expect to finish as high as I did? I have to look back at it. I mean, it was the same old, kind of guys. And then, I heard Dabo make a stupid comment about they've been giving out NILs at Clemson since forever. Name, image, and likeness in the name of the Lord. Or something he said up there to that effect. And I'm like, this dude is crazy. So, they got to say he would quit once they start paying the players.
Yeah, why he ain't quit?
He's making $10 million a year. That's why he ain't quit.
Man, Dabo's full of what?
Full of
Dabo,
crap.
Ain't nobody quoting your ass no more.
Nope.
Where are those quotes now? Bring your own guts and all this crap and all. Man, I'm tired of them when they hype these coaches up. Oh, listen to him like he.
But do you ever hear any former players bragging about him? Like he was a great guy. So you don't hear many former players talking great about him, do you?
No,
I don't. Coaches got players speak up for him, but I don't hear that with him. I don't.
Dabo, when somebody say, "Oh yeah," be like Dabo, they always show me where they coming from, because Dabo is full of it. He's a typical Well, I can't stand that type of ass coach.
Yeah, I don't like that dude, man.
Because he's a
Can't
damn
stand that
hypocrite.
dude. Yes, he is. He's
Yep.
a crook, man.
He's a
Yep.
hypocrite.
But I would say, you know, Miami did well. Texas had a good day. You know, Sarkisian brought in Arch Manning and a bunch of Texas, all that talent in Texas. He was able
Sarkisian's
to
gonna
keep.
be good, man.
He's going to be
Sarkisian
very good.
be good.
He's a very good coach and very good recruiter. And the key is you get an Arch Manning, now you can having him could bring, you know, to the program now. That was a big gift for him because he's gotten, you know, top quarterbacks, but the Ewers kid didn't go there right away. He went to Ohio State to try to get the NIL money, so he was a transfer. To get Arch Manning right out of high school is big for him. So hopefully that'll turn into him adding some other key pieces on on that offensive and defensive side of the football. Because like you state, Texas got the biggest recruiting area in the country. Don't nobody got more recruiting area than Texas. It's ridiculous. They show like different pods of where they got 1,000 recruits here, 800 guys here, and I'm like, nobody else ain't got that in different cities: Houston, San Antonio, Austin, the areas, surrounding areas, all them areas with Duncanville and Allen, Texas, and all that. Ain't nothing but players, man. You know, Fort Worth ain't nothing but players. They got players everywhere. So he should be fine. He should be able to get guys. And the key for him is, like I said, don't lose so many to other schools out of state. You can afford to lose a few here and there, but you can't lose the amount they had been losing to the Alabamas, the Georgias, and all them schools of the world. You can't let them, LSU's and them come in there and take all your guys. You can't let them do that. So two of Jimbo Fisher's 5-star guys from last year have transferred to LSU. And then he lost another one before the season when he decommitted and chose LSU. Bryce Perkins, Denver Harris just went.
Wow.
Shamar Stewart. So 3 of those 8 5-stars he got are now playing for Brian Kelly down at LSU.
So can you bring us up to date on what happened with Drake May? And they said $5 million. What was that situation?
Yeah, rumors are 2 schools offered him up to $5 million in NIL money to transfer in and become their starting quarterback. And Mac Brown was heated by it, but it's pay for play. It's like you said, adapt or die, because that's what it is. I mean, if I got more NIL money, I'm able to get a guy that you can't get. And North Carolina doesn't have the NIL money that these other 2 schools have. Now, the thing that's keeping Drake May still is his family's it's a legacy school for him. Brother was Luke May from the basketball team. Dad went to the school. Mom played volleyball there, ran track. So it's a history thing for him. It ain't just money. So if it was a situation where it wasn't that, he'd probably be gone. But because of that, and because I know that, even like you stated, even though Carolina don't have the biggest NIL pot, you better believe he's getting the biggest portion of it. You better believe that, because
There's
the kid
no
can
honor.
flat play.
There's no honor among thieves.
Nope. So I just think with him, it became a situation where the highest bidder was trying to outbid, and he stayed. Right now, he stayed. He still can jump in there if he wants to. So it ain't out the question that he can leave. But me personally, I don't think so. I think his love for Chapel Hill and growing up in that surrounding area is going to keep him there. But
One more year.
One more year, and he's going to be the first pick, and he's probably going to be the second pick in the draft behind Caleb next year.
Behind Caleb, yeah.
Him and Caleb be the top 2 quarterbacks off the board, probably the top 2 picks.
I think May wins the Heisman because when they bring Caleb back, they're going to put so much pressure on it, and it's so hard to repeat that even though Caleb may have better numbers, May end up winning the Heisman because they love the new toy for the Heisman. That's why it's been almost 50 years since we've had a repeat. And we've had a bunch of people try. We've had about 10, I think, tried, and they couldn't do it.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson was probably. I thought Lamar Jackson had the best shot, and he still didn't. He didn't. He was better the year he didn't win it than the year he did win it.
Actually, the person who had the most hype to do it was Tim Tebow.
Yeah, it was at 07, 08.
Yeah,
he won in 07 and came in.
I thought he was going to win it twice because
Yeah, you're right.
They
You're right.
they was on some Tim Tebow now.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about
So
that. You're so right.
I thought he was going just back to back it and just keep it moving, pimping, but he didn't. Folks, you know, so we're talking to you about what's going on in college football right now, because if you ever seen some of those Clint Eastwood movies and the old movies of the Wild Wild West, and that's what college football is right now. It is the Wild Wild West, and these teams ain't playing around. And
No, they're not.
we were just talking 2 weeks ago about Jackson State and this and that. Folks, when we talk about Alabama and we talk about Oklahomas and USCs of the world, Jackson State and them are so far below this as far as the money and talking about being here and doing this, that you have to understand, if we had to put it into terms, Deion went from playing touch football at 5, 6 years old to going to professional football. Those are the levels that he went up, from the program that looks like high school to a program that looks like you walking in a 5-star hotel.
Yep.
I mean, it's not even close to what he was going into. If you've never been in any of these facilities, go to a major college and go walk around their facility and go see how nice it looks. It looks better than the place that you vacation at. So wherever you vacation, I don't care if you go to Jamaica or whatever, Oregon, Colorado, Maryland, Penn State, Alabama, Florida State's new. You saw Florida State's new place. I thought it was a professional team moving in.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing.
So, you know, you can't compete if your stuff looks worse than a high school. Nobody is going to come from high school, from their high school, and come to stuff that's worse than theirs. No, that's not going to happen. So, folks, when you were talking about all that stuff, if you've been on our level and you've seen what we've seen, you would shut the hell up, because it's no comparison. So, we wanted to make sure, you know, we get everybody. Hey, it's been an emotional 2 days. My Steeler Nation people, prayers. Franco Harris, I had seen him 2010, 11, 15, 18, 19, 21, 22. Seen him every time I was at the Hall of Fame. Every single time. This was the first year that I did not speak to him about it, but we saw him and hello, how you doing, Mr. Harris? Always very respectful to him. He will truly be missed. And when they put his name up on that board next year, when they show all the people who passed away the year before, he will probably get a standing O, because he was just loved, man. You know, Penn State family to Pittsburgh to the Steelers.
Legendary.
I mean, he was just legendary, man. I mean,
legendary, man. And it's crazy, Tony, because his rookie rushing record for the Steelers was in place until Najee Harris broke it last year. And I wrote a piece about him congratulating Najee when it happened, saying you can be better than me. Just keep doing what you're doing. You just have it all. And just commendable. Just not, you know, a guy breaks your record and you're telling him he can be better than you. That's amazing. That record was in place for
almost 50 years.
Almost 50 years. His rookie year was 72 when he caught the pass. How many years?
Yeah, his rookie year was his rookie year in 72. Najee's rookie year was 21.
49
50
years.
50 years, basically.
49 years,
seasons. 49 years almost, and 50 seasons.
Yep. His rookie rushing record for the Steelers held up until last season.
Yep. So 50 damn seasons is a lot of time, dog. That's a half a second. So yeah. So to think about all what he brought to the table. I mean, first running back to win 4 Super Bowls.
4.
So he got 4. 4 rings.
Mhm.
2 of them at the expense of my boys. Well, we ain't gonna talk about it. But we ain't gonna go into all that. Right
Yeah.
now, it's, you know, we got it scrolling across the bottom. Rest in peace, Franco. Tomorrow is the anniversary. Saturday is the game.
Yep.
And folks, we're not even gonna talk about the rest of the NFL. It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't.
That part right there, making sure that we came on here and properly told the stories about Franco, about the catch. That was a catch. It wasn't the immaculate deception. For it to happen that close to Christmas, for it to happen, you know, it is just. You can't, and for him to pass away now,
That's crazy, man. Just wild.
yeah,
Just wild how that. It's wild.
You can't make that up.
No,
So,
you can't.
So
Just
you know,
wild.
and I think I got Steeler fans on here commenting. Dev, Peyton, okay,
wild.
yep. So yeah, yep. So we want to basically tell you happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate. You know, Hanukkah, everything, whatever you celebrate. Happy holidays. We'll see you Monday night. That's 26. So long. Rest in peace, Franco. Watch the Immaculate Reception anniversary show NFL will do tomorrow night, and catch the game, the Steelers and Raiders. I think something crazy may happen in that game.
Saturday night, 8:15 on NBC, I believe.
I'm interested to see what they do at halftime now.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I think they're going to do it at halftime. They're not going to do it before the game. They want everybody to be tuned into this.
Yeah,
So,
I'm interested in going to do a halftime.
Yeah. So halftime will be a little extended.
It's going to be emotional. Halftime is going to be very emotional, man, because like I said, whenever I would just see Franco, I would just talk to him about the play because I'm a historian, and I just wanted to know what he was doing, what he was thinking, because it always hit me. Pretty soon, he ain't going to be able to be around to tell that story.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to hear it from his mouth.
Mm-hmm.
I got to hear him say exactly everything he was doing, why he leaked out, why he ran to the ball. Kim said because Joe Paterno taught them to always follow the ball.
I heard you say that.
The ball. And he did exactly what he was taught. And most people would have just stayed back there because he was helping blocking. And he just said, let me leak out just because I'm an eligible receiver. And just keep leaking out. And the guy that was with him, linebacker was with him. And then that linebacker didn't run. Franco ran to the ball. That's why when the coaches tell you, hustle to the ball.
He hustled. And that's why that play, because had he been a split second later, it touches the ground for sure. He had to be right where he was.
And even a split second later than that, he don't get around that guy to get the touchdown.
The guy that was coming for the angle that had him at the 5-yard line that he outran. Yeah.
That he outran.
Yeah, yep.
So,
because that was it. If he didn't get in the end zone, the game's over because there was no more time. That was the last play of the game.
Last play of the game.
Bradshaw just threw it out there. He just threw it out there. Somebody's out there. Let me just.
It's
crazy, man.
Damn amazing, ain't it?
It's amazing.
It's amazing. So,
it's amazing.
You like my thing about all the 12s, the quarterback?
Yeah, it's dope. Outside of one, that whole 10-year run. Yep.
It was a 10-year run. Outside of one quarterback.
4 by Bradshaw. What? 2 by
Staubach, 2 by Greasy, and 1 by
Stabler.
So
that's 9, and then the other one was Ernie, the guy from the Colts.
The other one was Johnny Unitas started that game.
He started the game. Okay, got you.
So the other one was the Hall of Fame, but all of them were Hall of Famers. The entire decade of Super Bowls were Hall of Famers.
That's why people need to know having a quarterback is so vital. I get so tired of people acting like you can do a lot. How many times has a quarterback that's not an elite guy or Hall of Famer finish at the top of the mountain? That don't happen a lot. It just doesn't.
It's probably happened 3 or 4 times in 56 Super Bowls,
Yep.
57 Super Bowls.
Mm-hmm.
What Super Bowl we on now? 57?
57.
Or what? 57, 58. So, yeah. And, my prediction of the home team is officially gone now, right? Arizona can't make the playoffs, right?
They're terrible. God, they're bad. They're so
Are
bad.
they out of the playoffs yet officially?
They're 4-10. I think they're eliminated. I have them having a third. I have them having a third pick in the draft. That's how I got them right now.
Yeah. So that trend of the home team hosting the Super Bowl is done.
Yeah.
So it was good while it lasted, but
they were doomed. They were doomed from the beginning. They were doomed from the beginning when Hopkins got suspended for 6 games. They were doomed. Too much. Yep.
So my man, peace out. I'm gonna go watch
Peace out,
this.
brother.
Jacksonville versus
I'm about
the
to
Jets.
peek at it now.
I think Jets.
Ugly weather too. Ugly weather. Yeah.
Yeah, ugly weather. But this is a big game for both teams.
Jacksonville can move into almost a first game if they can tie the Titans for first place. If they win, the Titans lose Sunday, which the Titans could do because they don't have Ryan Tannehill the rest of the year. Malik Willis will be playing the rest of the year. So the Titans have just fallen on really hard times, man. Just stuff is just not what it was for them early in the year. They just don't.
They were the number 1 seed last year.
Yep.
Who was the number 1 in the NFC last year? The Rams.
No. Packers. Yep.
Packers and Titans were number 1 seeds last year, and they both could miss the playoffs.
Yep.
That, folks, is what you call parity.
3-3. Jaguars just got a field goal.
And that's what they want in the NFL. Mm-hmm. The 2 number 1 seeds from a year ago could miss the playoffs.
Yep. Parity, man.
Well.
Yep.
All right.
Parity.
Hey, real quick, who you pick for the Redskins? The Commanders 49er game.
Niners gonna win that game.
Hey, folks, I'm on record right now. Upset. Washington Commanders 17-14 in San Francisco. You heard it from me first. 17-14. Final score. They will make the plays because Brock Purdy cannot beat anybody in the NFC East. We built different, dog.
What about Saturday? Big one. Dallas Eagles. Big one.
It ain't that big. We're gonna run over top of the Eagles. Okay. We've been beating them for years. They don't beat us when we got Dak. They beat us when we got whack. I don't want to hear all that crap.
All right, we'll see, man. It's gonna be a good one. It's gonna be fun.
All right, brother.
A fun weekend. All right, man. Definitely. All right, bro.